Let's start with a prayer. Let's take a moment to invite our masters to be with us in this satsang. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, dearest Gurus, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar Ji, our beloved Guru, Paramhansa Yogananda Ji, saints of all religions, Swami Kriyananda Ji, we humbly bow before you all, thanking you every day for your presence in our lives, the practical techniques to develop intuition for daily God contact that you have given us. Help us develop soul intuition that we may help ourselves and guide the lives of our brothers and sisters. Om Shanti. Just for a few moments, let's meditate. Om Shanti, Shanti. Okay, friends. So, what is intuition? Let's simplify this subject. By the way, there is this beautiful book written by Swami Kriyananda Ji. Absolutely must be in your bookshelf, Intuition for Starters. Actually, not very far from where I am in the Delhi center, I had attended Kriyananda Ji's program in 2006. That was the first time I was seeing him. And of course, he wrote so extensively, 150 plus books. And I remember that was one of the 2 books I bought that day. And I said, is this practical? Like Kriyananda Ji writes in that book, we all get a hunch, we all get this feeling, and it is true many times. Actually, just today, I was talking to some friends. My background is in medicine. So we were talking about first aid or emergencies when they come in unexpected places. And I said 3 times I have been called to give my services in the flight, once in an international flight, twice in a domestic flight. And they said, oh, the other person said, oh, but I've flown so many times. I've never heard anybody asking for help in air. I said, that's very good. You really don't want to have health issues up there. But I said, very interestingly, one of those 3 times, I almost knew beforehand, before the flight, I had this feeling today, somebody's going to announce, is there a doctor in this flight? And you say, yeah, you raise your hand, and then the things start rolling from there. But what is that power? How do we know? I met a family, I met the father of a boy who passed away about 9 years ago in an accident in Pune. And his parents would talk to him every single day after dinner. And that day they were in another city in North India. He was in Pune. They spoke at dinner time, and 1:30 at night or early morning, his mother woke up and she told her husband, I'm desperately calling him. He's not answering. Give me his friend's number. And the father said, they must all be sleeping. We spoke to him a few hours ago. She said, no, I have to speak to him. Something is not right. And anyway, they called the friend, and the friend was already crying. And he said, Auntie, I'm so sorry. She said, I want to talk to my son. And he said, he's dead. He said, I'm standing next to his body. And I met them at the screening of a movie called Helmet. Basically, that boy was not wearing a helmet. He had a road traffic accident. He died on the spot. Now, here's the question. How did his mother know? People sometimes, Kriyananda Ji writes in the book, they call intuition feminine intuition or masculine intuition. And Swami says that's not really the case. It is an impersonal quality, but he says women do have more feeling. And when that feeling is calm feeling brings intuition. It is not something you're seeing. It's good to see through the senses. Of course, for healing, it's very good that the doctor should see the patient. He should see the reports. He should run his mind. But there is intuition which bypasses all these and goes, like Kriyananda Ji says. Let me read his lines. It's a beautiful way, a very practical way he describes this from the book Intuition for Starters. Intuition, he writes, is the innate Innate means it is already there inside each one of us. Innate ability in everyone to perceive truth directly, not by reason, logic, or analysis, but by a simple knowing from within. That is the very meaning of the word intuition, to know or understand from within. Another simple way to remember it is intuition. It's coming from inside. Intuition is the inner ability to see behind the outer forms of things to their inner essence. Now, that's beautiful. Kriyananda ji explains things so beautifully. The inner essence behind the outer form. Now, in a deeper sense, Paramhansa Yogananda ji, from a spiritual high definition, he once defined intuition as the soul's power to know God. You and I meditate. I hope most people over here are meditating. Why are we meditating? To find God, to experience Him, to feel Him, to saturate our body, our mind in God. And you can also say intuition is the soul's power to know God and to know God's will by extension. When you know God, you know Him, like Padre Pio, the great saint. People asked him sometimes, how do you know these things? He would look at something and just tell somebody something. And he said, well, God allows me to read his notebook sometimes. Let's put it that way. And another time, somebody met Paramhansa Yogananda ji, and this person said, sir, how long does it take for you to know something about a person or their karma when you see them? And do you know these things in everybody's situation? And Master, without skipping a beat, he said, the moment I see anyone, I know everything about them. And then, and this was like not to say that this is what he was doing. He simply said after that, he says, you see, that's my job. And you feel so secure, safe, so happy. Kriyananda ji said, finally, somebody knew me better than myself. And you can say that too. I can say that too. That I don't know my past, but Master knows it. So what he tells us and how he guides us from inside, we must do. And we can bring those qualities into our healing prayer for others. I'll give you some examples now, friends. Now, first of all, let's discuss how does intuition come? Very practically, Paramhansa Yogananda ji said, when you meditate, after you have practiced the techniques, when you sit in silence, after that, eyes closed, he says that is when you develop intuition. That is when one of the 8 aspects of God, peace, calmness, bliss, wisdom, joy, so on and so forth, those come into our consciousness. We feel his presence through those aspects. So Yogananda said that is when intuition comes. Now you may say, well, how? Again, I won't go in the details of this subject. Today we have only limited time. But first of all, what happens through meditation is you are calming the breath, you're offering the ego, at least the way Yogananda ji taught meditation, it is a deep surrender with every kriya, with every breath. A hong sort takes the breath itself away. Kriya can take us into the breathless state. And what happens over there? Why does the breath have to slow down or go away? Well, friends, you see, our bias, let's say in diagnosing a problem, is linked to our likes and dislikes. So many times people cannot even accept, let's say, a disease. What to speak of healing it? So Master said, when your heart is calm, when your breath is calm, it reflects your level of acceptance. It reflects the slower those things are, the less you are caught up by likes and dislikes and the ego. If somebody challenges the ego, it's like, I didn't do that. The breath reflects the ego. Heart rate goes up. And nowadays you have smart watches, so you can watch it. If the heart rate is going up. So it's a good practice for a yogi to watch the heart and breath all the time. So the meditation techniques calm the heart, calm the breath, and they take away likes and dislikes and ego. Now you may say, well, what is left? The feelings do not go. Likes and dislikes, harmful emotions go away. Too much attachment and too many dislikes, those things go away. So you may say, well, what is left? calm feeling is left. Calm feeling is love. When there is calm feeling, finally God can flow. It's like God is, you might say, playing a radio station. He's playing things on a certain bandwidth, but you and I are jumping on another wavelength and we can't listen to him, or we listen and then we say, what did he say? Really, I got half the message and I didn't really understand. And most people are so restless, they don't even believe such a wavelength exists. But Kriyananda ji is very clearly saying it exists for everybody. So first of all, I would say meditation, because when we are calm, finally you can feel it, and literally like a flash. I have fortunately a few personal examples when this happened with me. I remember many years ago, I was practicing in the hospital and I saw a teenager girl who had an attack of sinusitis, and her family came and they basically told me, the mom was my yoga, her mom was my yoga student, and she said, hello sir, I'm so happy you're in the emergency. There was only one pharmacy in that town and you could not get an antibiotic without the doctor's signature. So she said, I'm so happy you're here. Can you please make a prescription? I said, oh, what happened? For whom? She said, for my daughter. It's nothing. It's an attack of sinusitis. She's been getting that from childhood. So I looked at the girl. Yes, there was sinusitis and all, but she looked, very low in her energy. She looked like a very bad case of sinusitis, let us say, and something much more. Later, it turned out to be a case of ovarian tumor and such. But in the moment, I looked at her and I said, no. I asked myself inwardly, I said, now see, here was her mother who knew her for 16 years and she had made a diagnosis. I was a complete stranger, but I just prayed to Master. When I'm in doubt, I pray to him. I said, sir, is there something else going on over here? And suddenly this thought came, ask her how much chicken, if she eats chicken. Now, problem is in the nose. And so I said, so I started writing the history, okay, fever, this and that, and nasal blockage. Then I said, by the way, do you eat chicken? And their jaws fell down. And this lady said, my daughter only eats chicken morning, afternoon, evening, often without rice or any other cereal. And I instantly knew that's where the deeper problem is. And sure enough, we changed her diet. Her sinusitis, her mom said, just didn't come back. The way it was very frequent. And in Ayurveda, this is explained, but I didn't know that detail from a scholarly standpoint. Another time I remember I was in the middle of two classes and I saw a student. The moment I looked at her, I said, oh my goodness, that level of sadness, looks like she's lost a child. She's had a miscarriage. Now, again, you don't think these things. But when you're calm, when you don't have personal, shall I say, problems of your own, you can't bring your problems to a classroom. Oh, what about me? And nobody's talking to me. They're not thinking about me. It's not about you. You have to get out of the way. And then Master says, look at that person. Go and talk to them. Give them this advice. Tell them to do this asana. Another time I remember I saw somebody in the kitchen and I used to see this person all the time. And that day it was so clear. I just gently asked, I said, do you have an astrological bangle, one of these things? And she just laughed and she said, oh no, that has pure gold. It is so expensive. I said, yeah, but if I said, it's important for you to wear it. And she said, she started laughing. I said, it's so important that if I had the money, I would buy one for you. But I said, think about it. She just laughed it off. And you can't go on and say, well, some power is telling me that you should wear a bangle and all. I didn't know if that power or intuition was true, but I got a feeling, certainly. Well, in the next month itself, actually a week, and then other things happened. Her husband had a heart attack. She had some issues. She then ultimately left the path. And what was really going on? There's a lot going on over there. Behind form, like Kriyananda ji said, there is matter, there is thoughts, there is consciousness. And from day to day, for a Kriyaban, those energies shift for good. You're burning up karma, you're cleaning your aura. And once in a while, when God tells you something, Kriyananda ji said, it's like you strike water. He says, dig more. If you say, well, it's only water, oh, it's only a rainbow, oh, this is only a thought. Imagine if Einstein would have said, oh, only the theory of relativity coming like an intuitive flash. Swami says, if you don't pay attention, those things stop coming. Like Christ said, to him who has less, even that is taken away. But for him who has more, more is given, which is to say, the more you ask, the more you practice, the more you ask for intuition in small things, the more we get it. So, to make this short, I am sharing these stories so that we get the feeling. And then I spoke to that lady to finish that thought. And in the beginning, of course, it's hard to ask, have you had a miscarriage? You cannot start that way. So I asked, how's your family and such? And when she said, oh, they're all fine, I said, you have a child? She said, yeah, the child is fine. Then I thought, well, maybe my thought was wrong. Maybe the wrong thought came to me. So I got up and I said, well, have a nice class. And she said, but I had a miscarriage some years ago, and that sorrow has never left me. And then I thanked Master. And remember, friends, intuition is not yours. It is no one's. It comes from God. So if you feel, oh, this was my thought and I knew this was happening and my intuition is always right, you're going to lose it more and more. And the more you simply bow before this infinite intelligence, God, super consciousness, the masters, and you say, my goodness, I didn't know the person, I didn't know what was going on, but you're trying to do something over here, bypassing everything. Like that mother, she said, I want to talk to my child. So it is a faculty, it is for everybody, it is an aspect of super consciousness through meditation, through energization also. Why energization? You have to calm your energy. You have to get rid of tensions. When we are relaxed, we can feel these things. So maybe I'll pick up this subject if required in more detail another time. But for now, let's do these practices as we do before our prayers. We meditate, we ask God to use us as an instrument, and we pray and share healing light. Ultimately, Master's healing is divine will healing. The more we know of God, the more we know His will, the more, you might say, efficiently, clearly, we can serve as His instruments. So let's do a prayer, healing prayer for the world, and then we will go into individual healing prayers. Let's take a moment, not so much to be affected by infinite space and the largeness of this universe, because space itself is a delusion. Let us think of God's light permeating in every atom of our world, in every person's heart, in their spiritual eye, at the point between the two eyebrows. And through meditation, chanting, prayers, may this light increase, may it bring healing to everyone. Let us see our planet healed, blessed by the light of God every day, all the time. And may that light increase in those who deeply love Him and serve Him. Let's rub our hands, chanting Om 3 times. Let us send these blessings out into the world. Om Shanti.